الحمد لله رب العالمين نحمده سبحانه وتعالى حمد المعترفين بنعمائه العظيمة وآلائه الجسيمة. اللهم لك الحمد كله ولك الشكر كله وإليك يرجع الأمر كله علانيته وسره. اللهم لك الحمد كما ينبغي لجلال وجهك وعظيم سلطانك، جل وجهك وعز جاهك، تفعل ما تشاء بقدرتك. وأشهد أن لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له، وأشهد أن محمدا عبد الله ورسوله وصفيه من خلقه وحبيبه، بلغ الرسالة وأدى الأمانة ونصح الأمة وكشف الغمة وجاهد في الله حق الجهاد حتى أتاه اليقين. اللهم صل وسلم وزد وبارك على الحبيب المصطفى محمد وعلى آله وأصحابه وأتباعه ومن اهتدى بهديه وعمل بسنته إلى يوم الدين، وارض عنا معهم بفضلك وكرمك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم آمين. I praise Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Endless He is in His glory, the creator of heavens and earth, the provider, the cherisher, the sustainer, the bestower of bounties, the source of good. I thank Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala for the blessings that He has granted us and our loved ones, and I express my gratitude to the Lord in words and action. And I say Alhamdulillah for the blessings I know, Alhamdulillah for blessings I know not. I bear witness that there is no deity worthy of worship save Allah, and I bear witness that Muhammad is Allah's final prophet and messenger, the bearer of glad tidings, the role model to be followed, sallallahu alaihi wasallam. May the peace and the blessings of Allah be upon him and his family and his descendants, his companions and their followers, and all the righteous men and women that walk steadily in their footsteps. And I ask Allah to make each and every one of us among them. Allahumma ameen. My dear brothers and sisters, I greet you with the greeting of Islam. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. One of the most wondrous stories in the Quran, one that we are taught as children, that bears so many beautiful meanings and lessons and secrets, is the encounter that took place between Moussa alayhi salam and Al-Abd al-Salih, the righteous man, Al-Khidr alayhi salam. The surah is mentioned in detail in Surah Al-Kahf. And in that encounter, Moussa alayhi salam travels all the way to the southernmost tip of the Sinai Peninsula, the juncture of the two seas, Majma' al-Bahrain, as the surah tells us. And it is at that location that he meets this mysterious man. The Quran calls him Al-Abd al-Salih, the righteous man, the righteous worshipper. And in the ahadith, the tradition of the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wasallam, his name is Al-Khidr alayhi salam. And they had basically three events, and it is through those three events that Moussa was supposed to be taught something. The first one, they board a ship. People were very nice to them. The righteous man pokes a hole in the ship, which basically will either sink the ship or at least put it out of commission. And of course, Moussa alayhi salam was upset and he questioned that behavior. The second event that took place was when the righteous man took the life of a seemingly innocent child. And the third one is when the righteous man rebuilt a post or a fence around the house that belonged to that city that was not nice to them. They refused to feed them, and the righteous man did not even request any compensation for rebuilding the fence. We all know the story, and we read Surah Al-Kahf every Friday. And most people get caught up in those three lessons and the three encounters between Al-Khidr alayhi salam and Moussa, and they forget that there is a tremendous, tremendous story that led up to this. A story that is not mentioned in the Quran. And we ask ourselves, Moussa alayhi salam is a prophet, he's a father, he has children, he has leadership responsibilities. The people of Israel are divided. The community is just recovering and healing from what the Samaritan did, dividing up the community, collecting the jewelry and melting it and building a calf. Last time Moussa alayhi salam left his own people and went to the mountains in order to talk to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala and appointed Harun, a lot of bad things happened to the community. Yet, Moussa alayhi salam still abandons his post and leaves his people behind. He takes with him Yusha bin Nun, a future prophet himself, Prophet Joshua, as his assistant, and he leaves Harun alayhi salam to lead the Israelites at a very critical juncture when they have already resided in the easternmost part of the land of Egypt, very close to the present-day border between Egypt and Palestine. And they are about to embark upon a battle to deal with the Philistines that were in control of Palestine at the time. It is in the midst of those critical circumstances that Moussa alayhi salam leaves his people and abandons his post and ventures into the unknown in order to meet a mysterious man that he never met before. Yes, the story bears great lessons, but what prompted Moussa to do all of this? And that's what I wanted to talk to you about today. But before I do, I wanted to share with you a social commentary, an opinion of mine, an observation, if you will. In the age of social media, in the age of smartphones, in the age of postmodernism and consumerism, we have become extremely lazy and very fragile and very weak. We are constantly complaining. All the problems that we have are not born of our own choices, but rather we blame somebody else. It is society, it's the circumstances. We have to complain constantly. And we live in this perpetual state of victimization. We are all victims. Victims of politics, victims of the economy, victims of circumstances, victims of layoffs, victims of corporate America, victims of MBS, victims of Sisi, victims of Trump. We love to victimize ourselves. And with victimization and victimhood comes the blame game. My issues and my challenges have to be blamed on somebody else. So blame it on the federal government. Blame it on Republicans. Blame it on Trump. Blame it on smartphones. Blame it on Netflix. Blame it on the movies. Blame it on popular culture. Just find an object to blame so that you can get off the hook and not put any responsibility on yourself. Nobody takes any responsibility whatsoever. No one has a vision of what they want to do with their own lives, and no one has the resolve to carry it out. And what makes all of this worse, brothers and sisters, is that we have become so politically correct as modern human beings. We've become so politically correct, and we're all competing for the middle, the virtual middle that everyone is competing for. We're trying to say things that are acceptable by most people. Take positions that will be accepted by most people, right? No one takes a stance anymore. No one wants to make a principled decision that is driven by value and right and wrong and not the consideration of political correctness. If you are surrounded by liberal-leaning people in the real world or on social media, you are likely to say things that satisfy liberal-leaning people. You will say favorable things about the LGBT community, and you'll say favorable things about feminism, and you will say terrible things about Republicans and conservatives and guns and so forth. It's just rhetoric. It's just rhetoric. And if you're a conservative person surrounded by conservative-leaning people, you will likely say very favorable things about Trump. You will say horrible things about immigrants and socialism and so on and so forth. We seldom find someone that actually asks themselves, what is it that I need to do that is right, that is principled, that is values? And then say it and do it and take the heat for it. No one is ready to offend people. Well, God forbid. Offend someone? We don't want to offend anybody. That's what I hear. I don't want to offend anyone. Well, you should offend someone. Otherwise, you're going to be mute. The only way to avoid offending anyone is to not say a word. Are you willing to live like this? You need to deliberately offend some people if you were to say something that pleases Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And with that, brothers and sisters, we have become very, very mellow and extremely impressionable and extremely malleable. We've become like Play-Doh. We are bent and shaped like this. The powers that be, people that hold the status quo, can shape us the way they want. They herd us like goats and sheep. And everyone lost the taste for battle. Nobody wants to fight anymore. Nobody wants to take a stance and to challenge others and say, this is the right thing, and I'm willing to do it, and I'm willing to live and die for it, and I'm willing to lose relationships over it. Some of my friends will be very upset if they hear me say this, but it's the right thing to say, and I gotta say it. No one is willing to do that. And here's the thing. Malleable people, soft people who are lazy, who don't want to stand for anything, are not dependable. They're not reliable. I'm going to ask you, examine your family and your circle of friends and everybody you know, and tell me, how many people you can count that you can actually depend on and rely upon when times get rough? I mean, I probably know a lot more people than the average person here does. And I can tell you, wallahi, maybe on one hand, I can count a couple of people that are truly reliable. I know in my heart, when times get rough, I can count on these guys, brothers and sisters. Very, very rare. It's become extremely rare. Because all of us have become so malleable and flexible and impressionable and lazy and weak and unmotivated. There's no resolve anymore. People in poor countries, in developing countries, they wake up in the morning with a taste of battle in their mouths and a resolve in their hearts because it's a battle of survival. I don't have the luxury to be upset. I don't have the luxury to be anxious and depressed. I need to survive. I need to feed my kids today. But we have the luxury to wake up in the morning with anxiety and mental health issues, and take our medications and take a shower and complain and complain and complain and use lame excuses as to why we're not successful. Now some of you might ask, what does that have to do with Moussa alayhi salam? What does that have to do with the Khidr and the story of Surah Al-Kahf? Well, let's find out. The bigger chunk of the story is not mentioned in Surah Al-Kahf. The bigger chunk of the story is mentioned in the ahadith. في الصحيحين, Bukhari and Muslim, Abdullah ibn Abbas tells this remarkable story of the Prophet ﷺ telling us what happened in the background. The events that led to the encounter between Musa alayhi salam and Al-Khidr. Right? What happened? Abdullah ibn Abbas says, لما أظهر الله عز وجل موسى وقومه على فرعون أنزلهم بمنزل في أرض مصر. When Allah gave victory to Musa and his people, the Israelites, over Pharaoh, He basically allowed them or enabled them to settle in the farthest part of the eastern part of the Sinai Peninsula, close to the Palestinian border, right? So when they settled there, and as the hadith says, فَلَمَّا اسْتَقَرَّتْ بِهِمُ الدَّارِ أَمَرَ اللَّهُ عَزَّ وَجَلَّ مُوسَى أَنْ يُذَكِّرَ قَوْمَهُ بِأَيَّامِ اللَّهِ. When things settled for them and they relaxed a little bit, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commanded Musa to remind the Israelites of the days of God. Ayyamullah. What is that? The days in which Allah has granted you victory and has given you triumph and strength. Notably, the day on which they were delivered from Pharaoh. Because people get used to success and they take it for granted and they don't thank Allah anymore. So Allah wanted Musa to keep the Israelites reminded. وَلَقَدْ أَرْسَلْنَا مُوسَى بِآيَاتِنَا أَنْ أَخْرِجْ قَوْمَكَ مِنَ الظُّلُمَاتِ إِلَى النُّورِ وَذَكِّرْهُمْ بِأَيَّامِ اللَّهِ, as Allah commanded in the Quran. So Musa alayhi salam stood up and he started reminding people. فَقَامَ مُوسَى فِي بَنِي إِسْرَائِيلَ فَخَطَبَ فِيهِمْ وَذَكَّرَهُمْ بِمَا آتَاهُمُ اللَّهُ عَزَّ وَجَلَّ مِنْ فَضْلٍ وَنِعْمَةٍ وأن نجاهم من قوم فرعون يسومونهم سوء العذاب وأن أهلك عدوهم واستخلفهم في الأرض. Musa alayhi salam reminded them of all the things that are actually mentioned in the Quran. Reminded them that he is the one that delivered them from Pharaoh, that he is the one that destroyed their enemy, that he is the one that established them as his successors on this earth. ثم قال, and then Musa said to his people, and again Abdullah ibn Abbas still telling the story, ثم قال لقد كلم الله نبيكم تكليما واصطفاه لنفسه واصطنعه على عينه وألقى عليه محبة منه. All references from the Quran. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is the one that spoke directly without an intermediary. He spoke directly to your prophet, meaning himself. He empowered him with the proper resources. He gave him the strength. He formulated him and shaped him so that he can become the best fit for the job. And then he said to the people of Israel, وَآتَاكُم مِّن كُلِّ مَا سَأَلْتُمُوهُ وَجَعَلَكُم مِّن أَفْضَلِ أَهْلِ الْأَرْضِ. He has granted you from all the things that you have prayed for, and he has made you amongst the best people on this earth. فقام رجل من بني إسرائيل وقال لموسى يا موسى علمنا عنك كل هذا. A man from the Israelites stood up after the khutbah. And he said to Musa alayhi salam, Musa, listen, we know all of this about you. هل في الأرض من هو أعلم منك? You are so amazing. You're so knowledgeable. You're so inspiring. You're such a great speaker and a great leader. We love you. Is there anyone else on this earth that is better than you, that is more knowledgeable than you? And what does Musa alayhi salam say? He said, no. قال لا أعلم. I don't know of anyone else on this earth that is more knowledgeable than me. Some people erroneously think that Musa alayhi salam is just being a little bit arrogant here. He's being arrogant. But Musa alayhi salam was being very pragmatic. He was being practical. He's like, okay, I am the prophet of God of my time. I'm the one that speaks to Allah. I mean, who could be more knowledgeable than me? He's not trying to prop up himself, right? This is not self-promotion. He's just being practical. But Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala did not like that. فَعَتَبَ رَبُّهُ عَلَيْهِ أَنْ لَمْ يَرُدَّ الْعِلْمَ إِلَى أَهْلِهِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reproached him that he did not attribute knowledge back to the source of knowledge. See, if you don't know that there's someone else out there that is more knowledgeable than you, you should at least say that Allah is more knowledgeable. You at least say that, right? فَعَتَبَ عَلَيْهِ رَبُّهُ أَلَّمْ يَرُدَّ الْعِلْمَ إِلَى أَهْلِهِ. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala reprimanded him a little bit because he did not attribute knowledge to at least the source of knowledge, and that is Allah Azza wa Jal. ثُمَّ أَرْسَلَ إِلَيْهِ جِبْرِيلٌ. He sent him Jibreel. فَقَالَ يَا مُوسَى مَا يُدْرِيكَ أَيْنَ أَضَعُ عِلْمِي. What do you know about where I put my knowledge? You don't know. How can you answer this way? How can you say you're the most knowledgeable person on earth? You don't know. You don't know where I put my knowledge. فَإِنَّ لِي عَبْدًا هُوَ أَعْلَمُ مِنْكَ. One of my worshippers, for your information, one of my worshippers is more knowledgeable than you. Now, here's the thing. I personally feel that the story should have ended right then and there. It should have ended. Musa alayhi salam should have said, oh my goodness, oh, I'm so sorry. I was not aware of that. Lord, please forgive me. I overstepped. I crossed the boundaries. I made a mistake. Lord, I seek your forgiveness. But before he even apologizes, what does Musa say according to the hadith? Before he apologized, what does he say? Ya Rabbi, فَكَيْفَ لِي بِهِ. Lord, how do I find him? How do I find this person? He could have said, wait a second, I'm a prophet. I teach people. This is some layman over there. Why doesn't he come here and teach me or tell me what he's made of? He says to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, Lord, how can I find that person? Where can I find him? فقال جبريل, so Jibreel again speaks on behalf of Allah. فقال جبريل أن تحمل معك حوتا في مكتل. Carry with you a big fish in a basket. وَاذْهَبْ إِلَى مَجْمَعَ الْبَحْرَيْنِ. And then head to the juncture of the seas. The Aqaba and the Suez Gulf. The Red Sea. You have the Aqaba Gulf and the Suez Gulf, and the Sinai Peninsula is between. Right? The southernmost tip is where the two seas meet. أن تأخذ معك حوتا في مكتل وأن تذهب إلى مجمع البحرين فحيثما فقدت الحوت فهو ثم. When you lose the fish, that's where you will find Al-Abd al-Salih, the righteous man. Right? So far, so good. So what does he do when we wake up in the morning? He summons Joshua, and he says, let's go. Oh, prophet of God, where are we going? Just don't talk right now. Let's go. We're going on mission. And he asked Harun to lead in his stead. And he sets out to the desert. He's going back towards Egypt. You guys remember, that's a pretty dangerous thing. You just ran away from Egypt. Now you're going back. You're heading back west, which is exactly what you shouldn't be doing right now. Right? So he heads back. And as the Quran taught us, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala doubles up in Surah Al-Kahf. وَإِذْ قَالَ مُوسَى لِفَتَاهِ. In fact, this is the very first ayah in the discussion telling us the story. وَإِذْ قَالَ مُوسَى لِفَتَاهُ لا أبرح حتى أبلغ مجمع البحرين أو أمضي حقبة. Listen to this. He says to Joshua, listen to this. I will never give up until I reach my destination, even if my entire life is spent in eons and decades and millennia searching for it. أو أمضي حقبة. لا أبرح حتى أبلغ. لا أبرح حتى أبلغ. I will never abandon my mission. I will never give up until I reach my destination. Even if my entire life is spent on this. That little statement right there, wallahi, I'm telling you, write it in Arabic and in English and put it in a frame and hang it on the wall at home. لا أبرح حتى أبلغ. I will not give up until I reach. I will not give up until I fulfill my destiny. I will not give up until I get to where I need to be. The resolve of Moussa alayhi salam. This is not the attitude of someone that was reprimanded by God. He should have just apologized and said, okay, I messed up, I made a mistake. Rather, he creates a sense of mission because it just occurred to him, wait a second, there's a man out there that is more knowledgeable than me. Which means there is a source of knowledge from which I can benefit. I can become a better leader. I can become a better prophet. I can inspire my people. I can leave a better legacy. That becomes the mission of Moussa alayhi salam. He embarks upon the mission and he says, with the absolute resolve, I will never stop until I get there and fulfill my mission. That right there, brothers and sisters, that is the antidote to the laziness and the fragility and the weakness of our community. That resolve of Moussa alayhi salam is the antidote to the disease. Is the antidote to the poison that is rendering us useless. Brothers and sisters, we as a community plant trees that are yielding no fruit. The wheels of our vehicles are spinning, but the vehicle is not in motion. We are doing, but we are not producing. You ask anyone, they're busy. They're not sitting around doing nothing. They're busy. But you ask them, what are you doing? Oh, I'm working every day. I'm going to school every day. To what end? What is the purpose? Most people don't even know. And here's the thing. Our scholars taught us that there are 4 components that we need to be aware of if we were to upend that status quo. If we were to change the state of our community. And quite honestly, it's not just the Muslims, by the way. This has become the trait of most modern people in developed countries. Muslims and otherwise, we've all become like this as a society. We've lost the taste for battle. Nobody wants to fight or struggle anymore. We always let the path of least resistance, the easy way out. That's it. Just come on, man. That has become the attitude of most people, and not just Muslims, right? What do we need to do? Number 1, you have to have a vision. You have to have a vision. For yourself, for your family, for your children, for your dunya, for your deen, for your hereafter. What is your vision? What is your vision? One of the brothers was telling me that he's been driving an Uber for 7 years. I was like, okay, I'm okay with that. There's nothing. That's an honorable job. It's bringing you some income. But where does the Uber driving fit in your grand vision of your life? What else that you could have been doing right now that is much more beneficial to you than driving an Uber? Right? I mean, I understand it's bringing some income. I get it. But what if there's something else out there that would bring more income and help you fulfill your mission? Well, I don't even have a mission. What is my mission? Exactly. That's the problem. No one has a mission. No one has a vision. You know, why do you go to work every single day? Well, because I need to make income. Okay, and then what? What's the point of making income? Well, because I need to take care of my kids. See the cliche platitudes that we always, this is how our answers are. I got to take care of my kids. Really? What if you make a little bit of income and you spend more time with your kids? Wouldn't that be a better way of taking care of your kids? How do you know? The only way for you to know is to have a vision for your life and a vision for your family. Where do I want to see myself in 5 years and 10 years and 20 years? Where do I want to see myself in the hereafter? Where do I want to see my family after I leave this world? What is the legacy that I'm leaving behind? Most people, brothers and sisters, and I repeat, successful and unsuccessful, wealthy and poor, educated and uneducated, most people, they wake up one day in their mid-50s and they have achieved nothing. They've achieved nothing. Oh, wait, I graduated college and I held a secure job for all these years. You think that's success? Yeah, join the rest of the billions of human beings that have done the same. That's not a vision. We have short-term objectives, yes. We all have short-term goals, but most people don't have a vision. So number 1, you have to have a vision. Honestly ask yourself, what do I want out of my life? Because the clock is ticking. And with every second that passes, a small piece of your greatest asset on this earth is expended. By every second that passes, a big portion of your assets on this earth is expended because time is the greatest asset you have. And once you have a vision, we go into number 2, have the resolve to fulfill that vision. Have the determination to fulfill it, no matter what. If this is what I want, this is what I know, this is what I need, this is what's good for my deen and dunya and akhirah, I need to fulfill that. Make some people upset in the process. Oh, tough luck, I'm sorry, I'll apologize. But I will not yield. I will not waver. I will not use nicer words. If in my heart I know my vision and I have the resolve to get there, I will try as much as possible to not offend people. But if I did, I'm not going to be swayed. That has to be the attitude. The spirit of a fighter. Our Muslim community, especially our Muslim community, needs to develop the spirit of a fighter. Right? So let's say that you have the vision and you have the resolve. What's the third step? The third step is to avoid the distractions. Because people will distract you. And then you're going to get caught up in sentimental things, emotional things. Oh, they said this and she said that. And you're going to worry about what they said and what they didn't say and what they did and what they didn't do. And their attitude, oh, you know, the way they asked me was not nice. Do you think that Khidr was nice? I'm going to ask you an honest question, okay? I know that you guys are a nice religious community. You cannot think less of the religious figures in the Quran. But I'm going to ask you an honest question, and I need an honest answer, all right? If I were to gauge the behavior of Khidr with Moussa alayhi salam, was Al-Khidr being super nice or was he being rude? He was super rude. He was super rude. Astaghfirullah. Did the Imam just say that Khidr was rude? He was very rude. And he was extremely rude for a reason. Because Moussa is being tested that he shouldn't get caught up in the sentiment. He shouldn't get caught up in the framework. He needs to keep his eyes on the goal, on the target. My mission is to come and learn from this man. I mean, think about it. Initially he says, listen, Moussa, I don't like you. And there's a history about you. You're a man with a temper, okay? And you think you're more knowledgeable than anybody else. But I am more knowledgeable than you. I mean, there's a huge attitude there involved. There's a huge attitude. This is how they start the conversation. And then he's like, I'm going to do a series of things that will offend you deeply. Despicable things, bad things. Okay? And I don't want you to say a word. And you have to promise me right now that you're not going to say a word. So Moussa alayhi salam says, okay, fine, all right. I'll take it easy. All right. I'm not going to say a word. Right? And then the first time Moussa questioned him. He says, what did I say? What did I say? What did I tell you? Okay, I'm sorry. I'm not going to do it again. And then Moussa questioned him again. And then he says, you know what? One more word from you and we're done. قال هذا فراق بيني وبينك. This is the parting of ways between us. I'm done with you. This is extremely rude. See, sometimes we have a vision and we have the resolve, but we get caught up in sentimental things. We get caught up in useless peripheral things. You need to focus. Don't worry about what people do or say. Don't worry about all these constructs that we have created for ourselves to continue to be lazy and to continue to give excuses. Right, oh, Islamophobia, this, and Trump, that, and you know, all the struggles and economic issues, and oh, the community doesn't have leadership. Excuses. We love excuses. People who are in the business of blaming others and complaining all the time will always give excuses. Excuses to why we're not healthy. Excuses why we don't have time. Excuses why we're so busy. Excuses why we're not spending time with our families. Excuses why we're not giving and donating. Excuses why we're not volunteering. There's always an excuse. And your life is wasted. Your life is wasted. You're the only person that will suffer from the excuses. Not Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You're the one that will suffer. Giving excuse after excuse after excuse. Even if you have vision and you have a resolve, sometimes we're just giving excuses because we're getting caught up in the process. And our eyes are not fixated on the prize, right? And in order to make all of this nice and clean and beautiful, you have to temper it with a good niyyah, with a good intention. I mean, workaholics who build billion-dollar companies that are used to hurt humanity will tell you, I have a vision and I have resolve and I don't get distracted, right? But we're still not achieving good results Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not in the picture. You got to bring the sublime presence of God into the equation. You got to bring Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, what am I doing this for? To promote myself, to further my own ego, to become materially successful, or I'm doing this for another reason that may benefit me but also goes beyond me and my family, to my own community and humanity and my hereafter. There's got to be other considerations. Otherwise, we're caught up in the same cycle that most people are caught. What is the difference between you and Bill Gates? What is the difference between you and any other successful person in the world if you don't temper the process with the presence of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala? Those are the four components. And I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to accept our good deeds, to strengthen our hearts, and to accept our prayers on this beautiful day. Brothers and sisters, speak to Allah Azza wa Jal from the heart. Ud'u Allah wa antum muqinuna bil ijaba. Inna alhamdulillahi nahmaduhu wa nasta'inu bihi wa nastahdihi wa nastaghfiruh. ونعوذ بالله من شرور أنفسنا وسيئات أعمالنا من يهده الله فهو المهتد ومن يضلل فلن تجد له وليا مرشدا وأصلي وأسلم على المبعوث رحمة للعالمين وقائد الغر الميامين محمد الصادق الوعد الأمين اللهم صل وسلم وبارك عليه وعلى آله وأصحابه والتابعين ومن تبعهم بإحسان إلى يوم الدين وارض عنا معهم بفضلك وكرمك أرحم الراحمين اللهم آمين. My dear brothers and sisters, the year 2019 is a year in which we chose beauty as a theme this year. Beauty of mind and heart, beauty of character, of speech, of clothes, of words. How can we live a beautiful life as brothers and sisters of the same community? How to stay inspired and to inspire others around us. And I wanted to remind you today of a beautiful component from the life of Moussa alayhi salam, and that is the beauty of his resolve, the clarity of his vision, and the beauty of his resolve. Once a clear purpose and a clear mission were presented to him, he was willing to leave his community behind and to leave his family behind and to leave his brother in charge, and he was willing to venture out into the unknown in order to have a private meeting with this man that is supposed to teach him something that he doesn't know. And that became the mission of Moussa alayhi salam, and the Quran eternalized that conversation when the Quran, Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala taught us in Surah Al-Kahf that Moussa said, لا أبرح حتى أبلغ مجمع البحرين أو أمضي حقبة. I will never abandon my mission until I arrive to where I need to arrive. Even if I spend eons and millennia in the process. Even if I spent an unthinkable amount of resources in the process. Our Muslim community today, brothers and sisters, lacks a component of resolve. We definitely lack a vision, but those of us who have a vision, sometimes they don't have the determination to get it done at any cost. It has to be clean, it has to be beautiful, it has to be sublime, it has to be pleasing to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. But once the vision is clear in your mind, and you know that you're not doing it out of whim or passion, you're not doing it to just promote yourself, you're doing it for the right reasons, I say, have the resolve to get it done no matter what. And avoid the distractions. And don't get caught up in the sentiment. Keep your eyes fixated on the prize. We need the spirit of resolve so much in relationships today. Men and women in marriages that are about to fall apart. And people who take the easy way out and seek divorce. You ask yourself, okay, where do I stand today? And where do I see myself in 5 years or 10 years? Am I better off with this person or worse off? Because no one is perfect. If you're 75% okay and the advantages outweigh the disadvantages, then make up your mind about that and decide that this is what you want. Let it come from you and not the circumstances. Let it come from you. Don't let the circumstances force you. Don't blame anyone. You make the decision. And then that is your decision. Don't get caught up in anything else. That becomes it. Focus on that. Make it work with resolve, with determination, no matter what. If my marriage, right, is the right thing for me, I'm going to fight right and left to make it work. Period. That's it. But most people don't even come to that conclusion. They get upset. And one offense leads to another offense, and then a year later, they go, I'm done. But did you examine your life without that person? Did you look at the long-term consequences? The children, the community, the family. Are you going to be able to fall in love again? Maybe you love that person a lot more than you think. But once you've decided that this is what I need, this is the right thing to do, that's your vision, right? Build a resolve to get it done. I will defend my marriage no matter what. The flip side of the coin, the opposite, is also true, by the way. If it occurs to you without any doubt that this marriage is not working and you are worse off with this person, and that the disadvantages outweigh the advantages, then make up your mind and decide to dissolve the marriage now. Don't take another ounce of pain. Don't take another ounce of pain, but you got to be clear. Your mind and your heart have to be clear about what you want. Again, that's why I said the first prerequisite is vision. You have to have the vision, then the resolve, and then don't get entangled in any other consideration, what people are going to say, what people are not going to say, the backlash. That is all sentiment. These are all distractions. Don't worry about that. Vision, resolve, and then don't get caught up in the distractions, right? We need that in the issue of pursuing knowledge. And I'm being very specific, by the way, with the examples that I'm sharing with you, because that is a reflection of the existing challenges in our own community. A lot of people complain, I don't have time to study the deen. I don't have time to study the Quran. I don't have to, I'm not Arab. And learning Arabic is a prerequisite to study the deen. I don't have time to study the deen. I'm so busy. I have a full-time job. Yada, yada, yada. Excuses. These are excuses. You're wasting your life. Wallahi, your life is being wasted. You're 45 years old and you have the knowledge of a 5-year-old about the deen. You should be embarrassed. You're an adult. You should be embarrassed that you don't know enough knowledge about Islam. Don't give excuses. One of the brothers was saying, oh, imams are inaccessible and they're busy, and some imams are very harsh, they're very judgmental. Oh, you know what? They're not more judgmental than Khidr alayhi salam, I tell you that. They were not harsher than the teacher of Moussa alayhi salam. Don't give excuses. Americans say, if there's a will, there's a way. And the Arabs say, in صح منك العزم أرشدت للحيل. There's always a way. You just need to decide. Most people live their lives without making any decisions. See, again, because we want to be politically correct. Keep the status quo as it is. Let it drag on for as long as I can, because change is painful. Just keep it. If I can keep pushing like this for another couple of years, I'll be good. Because nobody wants to take the knife and slice through the problem. People don't want to do that because they're so scared of the initial amount of bleeding. But sometimes the initial amount of bleeding is all you need, and then you cauterize the wound, and then you move on, and your life suddenly improves. We need the resolve of Musa alayhi salam, لا أبرح حتى أبلغ. I will never give up or abandon my mission until I reach my destination. We need that in our own community. Our community needs to put its heads together and see where it wants to be in 5 and 10 and 20 years. And I'm not just talking about this community, I'm talking about our wider community. What is the vision of our community? Is someone working on a vision? And if someone is working on a vision, how can I help them? Can I bring something to the table? Can I bring ideas? How can I become an instrument in the fulfillment and the execution of that vision? If you are not concerned, and I'm telling you with honesty, if your heart is not concerned with the affairs of our Muslim community, then your iman is so weak. The Prophet ﷺ, if your heart is not aching with pain, with the struggles of our Muslim community, then your belonging to us is only nominal, is only fragile, is only peripheral. You gotta ache for the struggles of our Muslim community and become an instrument in getting some of those struggles resolved. And last but not least, and let me end with this, a lot of people think negatively of Musa alayhi salam because he kept jumping curiously into asking questions. Hey Musa, come on man, you made a promise that you're not going to say anything. Why are you second guessing Al-Khidr every time he does something? We always think, oh Musa, he's a little bit rash. You know how Musa is. One of the brothers was saying, you know how Musa is, he's a little bit edgy. He's rash. Musa was not being rash. He's a man that is honest to his mission. He's sincere. He doesn't have any time to waste. He left his people and left his country and left his mission in order to be with Khidr because he wanted to learn. And Al-Khidr is testing him. And he asked him to remain silent. I'm not going to be silent. I have questions. I need answers. I need to know what you're doing and why you're doing it. If any, I think that the curiosity of Moussa alayhi salam asking these tough questions, even though he was asked not to, is just a reflection of his resolve and determination, and how the clarity of his vision and how true he was to his own mission. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to grant each and every one of us a clarity of vision, and to grant us the resolve and determination to carry that vision out. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to forgive our sins and to establish us firmly on His path. I ask Allah to bring us closer to each other as brothers and sisters, to make us care about each other, to treat each other with kindness and tenderness. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help us do the right thing under the most severe of circumstances. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help us only try to please Him and not others, to always keep His views of us in our minds and not the views of others. I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to help us maintain balance in the life of this world, to fulfill our obligations in this life and our obligations towards the hereafter, and to do what is good for our deen, for our dunya and akhirah. And as Allah gathered us here in this shape and form, I ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to gather us in the highest level of His Jannah. Allahumma ameen. اللهم لك الحمد كما ينبغي لجلال وجهك وعظيم سلطانك. اللهم صل على محمد وعلى آله وصحبه وسلم تسليما كثيرا. تقبل منا إنك أنت السميع العليم، وتب علينا إنك أنت التواب الرحيم. اللهم ارفعنا ولا تضعنا، وأثرنا ولا تؤثر علينا، وادفع عنا ولا تدفعنا، وكن معنا ولا تكن علينا. اللهم يا ربنا واحفظنا من شياطين الإنس والجن برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم انصر إخواننا المستضعفين في المشارق والمغارب يا رب العالمين. اللهم أبدلهم من بعد خوفهم أمنا يعبدونك لا يشركون بك شيئا. اللهم اغفر للمؤمنين والمؤمنات، المسلمين والمسلمات، الأحياء منهم والأموات، إنك سميع قريب مجيب الدعوات يا رب العالمين. وأقم الصلاة إن الصلاة كانت على المؤمنين كتابا موقوتا.